guys, welcome back to a brand new video. I'm RexFinance, and in today's video I will be discussing why I now believe very strongly that Bitcoin is going to hit $100,000 this year in 2022. And as a matter of fact, I actually believe it's going to happen sooner than later. I'm sure most of you probably already know, but the world of cryptocurrencies actually got some pretty bullish news recently when Joe Biden finally signed his cryptocurrency executive order that the markets have been waiting on for months now. We can look at Bitcoin in particular and see as a result of this executive order going through, it is now up over 8% over the past day. This executive order in and of itself is very bullish, as we can see by the market reaction. But I actually believe that something is going to happen as a result of this executive order going through that is actually going to propel Bitcoin to that $100,000 level. And in today's video, I'm going to be breaking that down step by step for you, walking you through my mindset as to why I believe this is going to happen. But really quickly, before I get into that, I want to cover briefly my recent $30,000 bet on Bitcoin that I made by purchasing some CleanSpark call options. CleanSpark is my favorite Bitcoin mining company in stock, for those of you that are not aware. Basically, a lot of people have been asking what my profit is looking like from this position so far. I put around $30,000 into it, and right now I'm up about $23,000 or 88%, and these call options expire next week on March 18th. I actually believe that I'm going to profit even more than the $23,000 or 88% I'm already up. So personally, I am holding on to these call options, but that doesn't mean that you should go out and buy these call options because I'm not your financial advisor. I'm doing things that I want to do and that I feel are best for my personal financial situation. I don't know what you guys' financial situations are, so please do not blindly follow what I am doing. That being said, no matter how much profit I realize from this position, I do plan on rolling a chunk of these profits into a longer-term bet on Bitcoin because, again, I really feel that by the end of 2022, Bitcoin is going to hit $100,000. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. Let me know down in the comment section below your personal price prediction for Bitcoin in 2022. Chances are I'm going to be wrong. Chances are you're going to be wrong, but it's all fun, and I want to read your comments. Also, if you guys are new here or returning and not yet subscribed, I would greatly appreciate hitting that subscribe button down below. And let's aim for 200 likes this video. I know we can do it. Just hit the like button. So what exactly happened that is making me so bullish on Bitcoin for 2022? Well, I already briefly covered this executive order that finally went through. If you guys want more information on the executive order, go watch my video that I posted last night by clicking the I in the top right-hand corner. But I actually believe that there is a big catalyst, perhaps the biggest catalyst in Bitcoin's history that's going to come as a result of this executive order going through. And that is the passage of a spot Bitcoin ETF. Investors from all sorts of different classes have wanted a spot Bitcoin ETF for months now, if not over a year. This is something that Bitcoin investors or people that want to get invested into Bitcoin have been requesting from the SEC for quite some time now. And in fact, we've had many different ETF managers actually apply for a spot Bitcoin ETF just to get turned down by the SEC. And the reason the SEC keeps turning down these spot Bitcoin ETF applications is because they believe the world of cryptocurrencies right now is filled with too much fraud, price manipulation, and rug pulls. Basically, they don't want investors to get screwed by investing in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. I have to say, this is very understandable. It doesn't take a genius to see the amount of fraudulent behavior going on in the world of cryptocurrencies right now. I completely understand why the SEC has turned down these applications in the past. But I actually believe as a result of this executive order that the SEC is finally going to approve a spot Bitcoin ETF. And this is because the executive order finally allows regulation to start taking place. It's important to note that this executive order does not equate to regulation. Regulation will come as a result of this executive order. So regulation is not here yet, but it is going to come in relatively short order. So if whatever regulation they decide to roll out on cryptocurrencies ends up doing its job for the most part in preventing fraud and price manipulation and rug pulls and things like that, I believe that the SEC is going to be inclined to approve this spot Bitcoin ETF. Now, there's a reason I say that I believe this is one of the biggest bullish catalysts in Bitcoin's history, and I'll get into that now. The way it stands now, we currently have a Bitcoin futures ETF, which vastly differs from a spot Bitcoin ETF. Basically, the way it works now with Bitcoin futures ETFs is that these ETFs actually own Bitcoin futures contracts. They don't own physical Bitcoins. That is what is so different from a spot Bitcoin ETF. A spot Bitcoin ETF would actually track the physical Bitcoins. A Bitcoin futures contract is basically where one party agrees ahead of time to buy or sell Bitcoin at a specific price on a specific date, regardless of the price of Bitcoin on that given date. Because of this, the holders of the Bitcoin futures contracts end up purchasing Bitcoin either at a premium or a discount in most cases. Basically, it doesn't matter if Bitcoin currently is trading at $41,800. If the Bitcoin futures contract says that the buyer is going to buy Bitcoin for $45,000, that buyer is going to have to buy at a premium at that $45,000 price level today, regardless of the fact that today Bitcoin is only trading at $41,800. I know it sounds super complicated, but let's just leave it at this. Basically, these Bitcoin futures ETFs derive their value from the value of their Bitcoin futures contracts. They don't derive their value from the price of Bitcoin itself. Obviously, the futures contracts can be significantly different from the actual price of Bitcoin itself, which is a problem. But with a spot Bitcoin ETF, basically, you don't have to worry about any of that. As I've already covered, a Bitcoin Spot ETF would track the price of a physical Bitcoin itself rather than those futures contracts. Basically, investors can own Bitcoin without owning Bitcoin by buying into an ETF. This would allow investors to get exposure to Bitcoin through regulated and familiar products via an ETF. You wouldn't have to worry about private keys. You wouldn't have to worry about storing the Bitcoin. You would literally buy the ETF and own Bitcoin without owning Bitcoin and taking on all of that remaining headache. You can start to see why this is very attractive to investors that want to get into Bitcoin. For Pete's sake, most retail investors don't even know how to buy Bitcoin. But if you provide an ETF to do so, many people are familiar with ETFs. It's a very simple process, and they can get exposure to what they want to get exposure to without the rest of the headache. And as you might imagine, as more and more money starts to inflow into a Bitcoin Spot ETF, that ETF can take all of that cash inflow to purchase more Bitcoin, which adds to the buying pressure of Bitcoin itself. However, it also should be said that this would actually allow investors to short sell Bitcoin in a way. You can always short sell an ETF, which makes it possible. If the value of the ETF goes down, you will profit, which in turn is basically shorting Bitcoin. It really remains to be seen how something like this would impact the price of Bitcoin, but I, for one, believe that this would easily propel Bitcoin by itself to over $100,000 per Bitcoin. So just to review really quickly, the executive order was very bullish for us. But I believe that a spot Bitcoin ETF will be coming in the relatively short term as a result of this executive order and the regulation that is to come. Basically, up until this executive order was signed, there was little hope that a spot Bitcoin ETF would be approved. It's pretty much general consensus that a spot Bitcoin ETF would lead to massive inflows into Bitcoin, resulting in the price of Bitcoin going up dramatically. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a 20-year-old kid speaking through a microphone to you guys watching this video on YouTube. None of this is meant to be financial advice. This is just a fun prediction from me. Again, don't forget to comment below your predictions for Bitcoin in 2022 and subscribe if you guys are new here or returning and not yet subscribed. Also, don't forget we're aiming for 200 likes, so hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. With that, I'll be back with a brand new video later this week. Stay blessed and peace out.